Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nathan Nunley Show. I'm your host, Nathan Nunley, and today we'll be talking about the secret second motive of the New Zealand shooter. If you haven't heard by now, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, a white supremacist stepped into a New Zealand mosque and shot a bunch of people. The final death toll is 50. 49 dying at the mosque and 1 dying later in the hospital. Not a good guy, but right before, or right as he was doing the attack, he emailed a manifesto to the Prime Minister. And it takes a special kind of insane to write a manifesto before you do an attack, but basically, just backstory on the shooter, kind of the whole reason he did it. I read the manifesto, by the way. I read the whole thing, so you don't have to. But in the beginning, it talks about, kind of why he attacked and kind of why he's a white supremacist. So basically, I don't know how or why, but he was touring a bunch of European countries, and so he saw, I think Europe is having quite the immigration crisis, just like we are, and I think they have a lot of Middle Eastern people going up there seeking refuge from the wars occurring down there, which is completely understandable. I would not want to be down there either. But so they've Europe as a whole, and countries like France and Germany and people like that, have acquired a lot of new citizens recently. And so this guy was going around touring for whatever reason, and he noticed, way too many people that aren't white for his what am I trying to say? For his liking, I guess. For his liking. And he's just kind of, this guy is so crazy. He saw it as like them diluting like white culture, if that makes sense. And I read that in there. He's like, what does it mean to be French if, like, I don't even know how to put it, but he's so backwards. In fact, he's so backwards. Here, let me pull this up. So the way the way he writes his manifesto, the second part, is kind of like a Q&A kind of thing, and he'll write a question and then answer it. And so let's find it here. He writes a question: when do you believe you'll be released from prison? And this guy actually believes he's going to be released from prison. But even more crazy and far-fetched as this question is his answer. So he says, I do not just expect it to be released, but I also expect an eventual Nobel Peace Prize. Why in the world? You literally just killed 50 Muslims in a mosque. Why do you think? And he also says at the bottom, I expect to be freed in 27 years from my incarceration. That is just insane. That just shows you how mentally deranged this guy was. But anyway, yeah. But basically, this guy was just he felt that the people that aren't white were having too many kids and diluting and kind of pushing away the white race. I guess, I don't know. This guy's insane. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Anyway, but when the media came out with this, all they said, really, about the manifesto was, oh, shooter mentions Donald Trump. Oh, shooter mentions Candace Owens. Oh, all this stupid stuff that's kind of irrelevant. Anyway, so, well, it's not irrelevant if you look at it the way we are here. One part that was overlooked, though, was, kind of the second reason. Like, the first reason was he hates people that aren't white for whatever reason. I don't know why. But anyway, but the second reason, see, that's the motive for the attack, but the reasons of why he did certain things in the attack had their own motive. So, if that doesn't make any sense because I worded it horribly, it will in a second. So why he used guns in the Q&A portion of his manifesto? He writes the question, "Why did you choose to use firearms?" Well, this is what he writes: "I could have chosen any weapons or means: a TATP-filled rental van, household flour, a method of dispersion and an ignition source, a ball-peen hammer, and a wooden shield, gas, fire, vehicular attacks, plane attacks, any means were available. I had the will and I had the resources." This is important because he's basically saying I would have carried out this attack whether we had guns or not. So that's important to the next part here. So the next part says, I chose firearms for the effect it would have on social discourse, the extra media coverage they would provide, and the effect it could have on the politics of the United States, and thereby the political situation of the world. The U.S. is torn into many factions by its Second Amendment along state, social, cultural, and most importantly, racial lines. With enough pressure, the left wing within the United States will seek to abolish the Second Amendment, and the right wing within the U.S. will see this as an attack on their very liberty and freedom. I said that backwards, freedom and liberty. This attempted abolishment of rights by the left will result in a dramatic polarization of the people in the United States and eventually a fracturing of the U.S. along cultural and racial lines. Basically, all that is saying is I chose firearms just because I knew the U.S. would freak out about it. It says here, I chose firearms for the effect it would have on social discourse, basically meaning, stirring up the gun argument again, the gun issue, which I will have an episode on my opinion on that this week as well, since I'm out on spring break. The extra media coverage it would provide, he knew he would get more, media coverage if he, used firearms, because thus stirring up the gun issue again, and the effect it could have on the politics of the United States. So, that basically meaning, will someone in politics try to push gun control? And actually later, there's another question in here. It says, won't your attack result in calls for the removal of gun rights from whites in the United States? I bet all you guys liked my question reading voice. His answer is, yes, that is the plan all along. You said you would fight to protect your rights and the Constitution. Well, soon will come the time. So, basically why he uses guns here is to further divide the United States on that issue. Okay, well, let's look at something else. Also, when this came out, the media was like, oh, it mentions Candace Owens and Donald Trump. Well, let's read the part where it mentions Candace Owens and Donald Trump. Are you a supporter of Donald Trump, ? And his answer is, as a symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose, sure. That's not even what he's about. Common purpose, yes, he's trying to bring the American people back together, but white identity is not part of his what he's about. But anyway, he is white and has a white identity because he is white, but that is not what he stands for. And then it says, as a policymaker and leader, dear God, no. So he disagrees with Donald Trump literally on everything, and he kind of just asserts that he stands for white identity and common purpose. Which, when the media reads this, he knows he's going to get this coverage, so that's going to, push it further. Also, the part where it mentions Candace Owens, is there a particular person that radicalized you the most? Yes, the person that has influenced me above all was Candace Owens. If you don't know who Candace Owens is, she's a conservative African-American woman. Why a white supremacist would care anything about a conservative African-American woman is beyond me. Again, further kind of proves of he's mentioning these people just to stir up, people of the United States. And he says, each time she spoke, I was stunned by her insights, and her own views helped push me further and further into the belief of violence over meekness. This doesn't even make any sense. Though I will have to disavow some of her beliefs, the extreme actions she calls for are too much, even for my taste. I don't know. She doesn't even. It's not like she's like the leader of like Black Lives Matter or like Antifa. You know, she doesn't call for violence over anything. This doesn't even make sense. But because he mentioned her in there, the news, the media was like, "Oh, Candace Owens is in the manifesto." Making people or trying to get people to believe that it had something to do with that. This is also interesting. If you try to say that, well, he's so like right wing and hard stuff. This is his answer on his where he thinks he's at on the political spectrum here. Were/are you right wing? Depending on the definition, sure. And everybody listening right now is like, oh, I got you, Nate. He said sure. But then right below that it says were/are you left wing? And his answer is depending on the definition, sure. So he's very confused, politically and really everything, to be honest. He also hates conservatism. He says, no, conservatism is corporatism in disguise. I want no part of it. Interesting. So, that's kind of a right, characteristic to be conservative and on the right, But he hates it. But he is open to socialism. Were/are you socialist? He says, depending on the definition. Worker ownership of the means of production. It depends on who those workers are, their intents, who currently owns the means of production, their intents, and who currently owns the state and its intents. Very confused guy, hard, as the media would say, I'm doing air finger quotes you guys can't see, hard, right-wing guy. He's kind of a socialist here. Supporter of Donald Trump. He disagrees with Donald Trump, but he sees him as a racist. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, he literally mentions all of these things in this manifesto just to tick off people in the United States and further divide the divide that we already have. I'm probably going to I keep saying this, but I've got a lot of ideas for episodes here in the upcoming few days because I won't have anything else to do. That's a lie. I have a life, guys. Leave me alone. But yeah, like one of the things I'm going to talk about though is why I'm going to talk about the divide, and what it really means to be, an American and why that's so misconstrued. But as a whole country right now, America is in such a weird spot where I saw a map the other day, and like almost every county or whatever in the United States voted for, not county but district, voted Republican for Donald Trump. In the election, yet the left, or not the left, but the Democrats want to abolish the Electoral College, and you can make a decent argument saying, yeah, because they can't win an election, because they lost, and as it came out this week, no collusion, probably talk about that too one day, I don't know, and, they just can't win an election, so because of that, they're just gonna, abolish the Electoral College, even though they really can't do that. They're just power-hungry little children. I don't know. Wow, that got off topic. Anyway, but yeah, we're in a weird spot right now where a lot of the country that you don't see in the news is conservative, right-wing, kind of Republican-ish. But in the news, it's portrayed as like everybody is like on like against Donald Trump, and everything, and so it makes it's very hard to pass new policy. It's very hard to like keep going if you have half of your people mad at you and half your people like supporting what you're doing. So we're kind of like gridlocked here. We can't move, either way. And I think it'll be also very interesting in the next election what will happen to the House, because Dan Crenshaw said this. I'm running out of time. Dan Crenshaw said this. He said, I think this last election, a lot of Democrats got elected into the House, so the American people can see what the Democrats are about. And I think the next election will be very different. But anyway, I am all out of time today, so thank you all for tuning in this week and listening to the Nathan Nunley Show, and I will see all you guys next